All right, well, first of all, I just want to say thanks to our camera crew and our assistant coaches, Jeff Wilson, Ryder Tam, and David Marino, who are helping out with this video today. We're just going to go over kind of the different things we do with our drills, some of our warm-up routine, as well as some of the stuff we do day to day, just with overall general maintenance. David Marino is going to go through some of the drills and leg swings in order that we do things, and I'll kind of explain them as we go. Part of the main reason that we do the drills is that as a distance runner, one of the things that people lack in overall is just range of motion and mobility, especially as they run more and more miles. It's easier when you're young because you're still don't have as many injuries behind you and people are more athletic, but the more miles you run, a lot of those miles are being done at a sub-maximal range of motion, so it's easy to get into some bad habits. So we constantly work on trying to make sure we are going through a full range of motion, just using also hamstrings, quads, stuff with hip mobility especially, just a lot of things that are preventative. And they don't take a lot of time, but if you do them every day and you do them consistently, they're going to add up over time and just help you be stronger overall. Later on, when Coach Wilson goes through some of our strength and core work, you'll see how some of these drills interact directly with some of the stuff that he'll do as well. So that being said, we'll get started here. So we're going to start with leg swings with David. Usually when you're doing these, as well as most of our reps, we'll go through about 10 to 15 reps on these. As you see here, David's got a good solid wall. You could use a fence or anything. As he's bringing his leg through, he's not forcing it. He's just kind of letting the motion go side to side, but you see his foot is still on the ground. His heel's not lifting. If your heel's lifting, then your leg's going too high, okay? He's gonna reverse to the other side now. And you watch, his shoulders are pretty solid. He's not bobbing up and down very much. Again, you're not doing these to force anything. You're just doing them to help with, the movement in your hips. Now he's gonna flip to the side. And again, this is important now. When he's doing it, you see that he's using the inside leg against the wall. You don't want to go with the outside because then you won't have the stability that you need. So again, his foot's straight on the ground, his heel's not lifting, and he's not forcing it. It's just what he's given naturally. Same thing, always want to have the leg on the inside that you're lifting because it keeps your hips straight. Also your shoulders. You see how he brings his arm around to the front? That's another part of the drill as well. Okay, so there you go. Those are the easy leg swings. We do these after every recovery run, and this is part of our warm-up as well. So now he's gonna do some hurdle drills. And again, for hip mobility, we do these. He's gonna come around. And you see when he brings it up, when he brings his leg up around, he brings it back down to the middle. His hip is straight across. His heel's on the ground. And again, it's important that you're holding on to something that's stable so that you're doing this properly. You don't want to feel like you're just holding on to a pole or something. Now he's going to reverse that. And when you do these, you should be able to tell a pretty big difference between the directions you're going, and then all the way up into like your hip flexors, your glute, just everything. And just opening up the hips. And if you have an instability or an injury of some sort, or your mechanics aren't right, you'll definitely be able to tell if you don't have the same mobility in both sides. Okay, so he's done with that, and then we're going to go ahead and sometimes we go on, and some of the guys will do kind of a hip rotation where you go to both sides, kind of going all the way around into the front, taking your time. You kind of working to make sure that's fully, get full extension around. So again, that's nothing that's real magical to that. It's just you can feel things loosen up sometimes. And then sometimes, again, once you get done with that, guys do crossovers, which you don't want to force it. It's just something that should be, this again, to loosen things up. You never want to feel like you're trying to force a stretch or anything, because that's not really the point of it. you should feel more loose as you go. Okay, great. Now we're going to go into drills. Dave's going to start off with skips. Now, one of the things that's important about drills is that if you're going to do them, you need to do them right. Otherwise, you're kind of wasting your time. So again, why do we do drills? Well, when you're running, your range of motion, most of the time, let's say 90% of the time, as a distance runner, is not going to be like, it's not going to be a full range of motion like sprinting is. It's going to be pretty much restricted. Okay, that's most of your recovery runs, your long runs, warm up, cool down, those kind of things. So that's why, again, the more you run, you want to make sure that you're staying on top of having good mechanics, keeping your shoulders up and stuff. So especially later in races and hard workouts, when you're fatigued and you're breaking down, you're not getting into bad habits where you're crossing over or you're slouching. And also, one big mistake that people make when they're fatigued is they tend to overstride. Okay, fantastic. Now we're moving on into drills. Dave's going to go through A's, B's, and C's. Going through the full range of motion of a stride. So he's going to start off with driving his knee up. Watch his toes, watch his opposite arm. He's lifting with it. That's part of it. It's like when you're driving up, you want to use the upper body as well. Okay, now he's going to go to B's, so he's lifting the knee, then he's driving it back down to the ground as quick as he can. He's keeping that, his foot's coming down directly under the center of gravity, not out in front, right below him. So that's when you're striding, you don't want to overstride, you don't want your foot landing out in front of you. The quicker your feet hit the ground, the faster you're running. Okay, now he's going to do C's. So this one might take a little practice, but he's bringing his foot back through. It's kind of like a slow motion version of a complete stride. He's bringing the foot back through behind him and across to the front and just repeating. All right, now he's going to go into quick feet. So he's going to jog about 10 steps real slow, and then he's going to get real quick on his toes. He's using his upper body too. He's kind of firing up that fast twitch. All right, great. So now he's going to do, we call these high kicks. You want to watch when he's doing this, his foot, he's bringing his arm through, and his opposite arm, and able to touch his toes. Now, you don't have to touch your toes. You don't want to strain your hamstring. You don't want to force anything when you're doing this stuff. Some guys are more flexible than others. Dave's been doing these quite a while, so, for him it's pretty much second nature. Okay, now he's going to go backwards here, and when you watch, basically this is mostly for your hamstrings, because again, as distance runners, we don't do much with our hamstrings, or not as much as we should, but when you're going backwards, and you're bounding off your toes, you're having to use that hamstring to fire. And again, you don't have to do a lot of these, but it's enough to kind of wake things up. Okay, great. All right, now we'll go through some karaoke down and back. Again, you're working the hips, your coordination, your footwork. All these little things add up. I mean, when you're running out there every day, you're going up and down hills, through holes, all kinds of changes of terrain, different elements. And part of this injury prevention, being stronger just all the way around, everything you do, just your overall mobility, you can't go wrong. I mean, the more athletic you stay, the better off you are, and chances of you are, not getting injured are more crucial. More crucial to that, as well as just overall speed development, keeping your maintenance up, all those things. So those are some simple drills we do. We do pretty much every day. Some of the guys do. when they're warm up for workouts, but as well as like after recovery runs. It takes you maybe 5-10 minutes to go through that, but it helps. So there you go. Thanks, Dave.